Knowledge is power, but you'll have to learn how to decipher the information in order to use it effectively. Knowledge well. Informed conclusions are drawn here. And now, your host, Courtney Scott.
Good afternoon, Courtney Scott here on your January the 7th of 2017. Thank you for tuning back in. We're going to continue with this recording on the newest of my sources from the McAlvany Intelligence Advisor with the title, The Leftist Globalist Empire Strikes Back. So we'll pick up where we left off. If you haven't had a chance to go and visit or listen or see the previous parts of this report, then you can go into the archives, into the playlist on YouTube on the Knowledge Well media channel, and you can find it there. All right, but let's continue here with bullet point number 4. The globalist strategy for a worldwide cashless society is dramatically accelerating. Starting on November the 8th, the coordinated attack on cash has been dramatically escalated by the establishment. The big test case was India, where an 86% cash call-in occurred overnight, with massive financial economic chaos erupting all over the country. Thousands of poor people could not use cash, starving to death. Thousands of suicides and hundreds of millions of people with no bank accounts now in huge crisis. All cash withdrawals are now being closely monitored and limited by banks across America and around the world at this time. If you are in possession of much cash, often only a few $1,000s, or try to withdraw $5,000 to $10,000 of your own funds from your bank, you are now being viewed with extreme suspicion. Why now? Why is this being intensified so much at this time? Does it have to do with the globalists' fear that they are losing control? Is a huge global financial crisis about to erupt? So Sweden, France, Finland, Denmark, Ukraine, South Korea, Singapore, Australia, Venezuela, and many countries are accelerating their push towards a cashless system, whereby everything has to be done electronically through the banks and credit card systems. Banks in Australia are beginning to refuse cash deposits or withdrawals. Banks in Indonesia have begun to restrict cash withdrawals. India and Nepal are severely limiting bank wires into those countries. Leading banking, political, and establishment officials around the world are now speaking vocally about the great evils of cash and those using it, and how we need to go cashless on a global basis and now. The globalists have dramatically accelerated the drive for a cashless world in just the past 6 weeks. No cash means total financial control and surveillance of all activities by governments, incredible power and wealth for the banks, and a huge loss of freedom for the people, as we are now seeing in India. Why is this cashless strategy being sped up so much right now? Is it in anticipation of an imminent global financial meltdown? It is definitely a major part of the globalist strategy for worldwide people control. Bullet point number 5. The machinery for a huge American police state and the massive government bureaucracy to enforce it is still in place and growing. Unless the FBI, CIA, NSA, and our giant intelligence network are reorganized, restaffed, and reprioritized, all very iffy, the growing American police surveillance state will remain intact and most likely will even continue to expand. Big Brother is likely to be watching you more and more. Bullet point 6. The Obama regime is issuing hundreds of edicts, executive orders, and regulations in its waning hours, all of which are designed to advance their socialist globalist agenda. Hopefully, Trump will rescind all of these on January 21st. The reality is that the establishment control over the people has not diminished. The battle for freedom has not been won and will not stop just because of one man or one election. The globalist establishment still wields incredible power, and their evil plans for world government, in spite of recent setbacks, are still intact. Indeed, when examining the rapid acceleration of their global cashless agenda just since November 8th, and their campaign to silence the conservative, non-establishment controlled news on the internet since November the 8th, it is clear that, if anything, the establishment is actually accelerating its globalist agenda. These two establishment onslaughts will be discussed in more detail below. The globalist war on cash accelerates. As part of the globalist establishment's ongoing push to create a totalitarian cashless society where every transaction can be tracked and controlled, India's authorities on November 8th suddenly demonetized the two largest denomination bills in circulation, 86% of all cash. In Sweden, where government already tracks and monitors almost everything, central bankers are plotting the creation of a digital currency that could be completely controlled, along with those who use it by authorities. And in Australia, establishment-minded mega banks, including Citibank, are plotting with politicians to enforce everyone into a United Nations-backed cashless society, where banks and governments have total control over the population. In each case, different excuses have been used, but taken together, it is obvious that something major is going on worldwide. Liberty and privacy are literally at stake. The goal, an entire world that is cashless. The global establishment has increasingly been pushing for all nations to submit to what its propagandists tout as a cashless society. Basically, the agenda, pushed by the UN and top globalists, is to have a world in which all payments and transactions are conducted electronically, thereby creating a permanent record for government to inspect and track at will, and where all money will be locked up in the banking system. Multiple governments and dictatorships from Africa and Asia to Europe and the Americas have been explicitly working toward that goal. And in recent years, even more have joined the effort. Powerful globalist forces and organizations including the UN, Microsoft, the Rockefeller-Bush dynasty, the mega banks, central banks, and more are helping too. From the perspective of globalist tyrants, central bankers, and mega banks, there are numerous benefits to the anti-cash onslaught being waged around the world, in addition to totally shredding what remains of personal financial privacy. Among the most important, the ability to force savers to accept negative interest rates. Indeed, as central banking gimmicks to, quote, stimulate the central bank damaged economy continue to fail, even with record low interest rates. Several fiat currency issuers in Europe have made history by introducing negative rates. Obviously, depositors are unlikely to accept having to pay bankers money to keep their cash in the bank so that monetary authorities and their cronies and commercial banks can further loot the public. But without the existence of cash, people may be left with little choice but to submit to the fleecing. They will be trapped in the banks with no alternative. This brings up, and I don't know if it's going to this article is going to entail anything concerning like Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies that are definitely growing in the market right now. In fact, hitting historical levels. But my concern with the cryptocurrencies is exactly what they're talking about. It's the government's ability to control and locking you into a digital currency with their hand, or the governmental hand, or the United Nations hand, being able to, in effect, control the internet. I know, and you know possibly, that on October 31st of 2016, we actually surrendered the internet essentially to the United Nations. So they may, and I've heard, I listened to several analysts, including V the Gorilla, and Bixweir, and they're understandably pro Bitcoin, and I see a lot of good in it. I see, the near impossibility to hack it. I understand the algorithms are pretty long and things like that. I do get that, but at the same time, and I also get that V and Bixweir also share the same opinion that. Well, if they were to completely shut down the internet, we would all be done for anyways. So what's to worry about? But what if they don't just completely shut down the internet, but they could individually control the internet per person that's using it. You know, with all the logins and different things like that. What if they have a backdoor kill switch and you know, where they're able to control it that way, not necessarily controlling the Bitcoin itself, but controlling your access to the internet individually, not saying that they're going to take the whole system down for the whole entire country or the world. You know, so that possibility is there. You know, so that's something to consider if you are considering getting into Bitcoin, as I was, but now I've become deterred from that because of the information I found and from other analysts. Going on, point number 1. India is the biggest cashless laboratory experiment. The latest major salvo in the globalist war on cash came in India. Top officials there even had the nerve to pretend that the assault was for the benefit of everyday citizens. Quote, fake money and terrorism are ruining the nation's fabric, said Indian government leader Modi. Honest men cannot buy a house, cannot get proper education due to black money. Cash economy aids black money, corruption, and makes life difficult for the poor. Government is imposing a limit on high denomination notes. In the history of nations, such a moment comes when you realize that you must be part of this historical moment. This is one such day. Every common man who is tired of corruption and black money is welcome to contribute to this catharsis. It is very important to cleanse the nation of the corruption. So this is what their leader is saying over in India. This is their agenda pushing ideal. Indian Finance Minister Arun Jaitley was even more open about the agenda, explaining in the media that the government's decision was a major step in moving the country towards a cashless society. Quote, the government believes that this decision has been welcomed everywhere. This major step will help India's credibility, he claimed, reassuring citizens that they had nothing to fear and boasting about how much money would begin to pour into India's troubled banking system as a result of the decree. Quote, it will take India towards a cashless economy. It doesn't merely push the country in that direction, but significantly pushes it. And indeed, end quote. And indeed, that was the point. Get more people ensnared in the banking regime and in the formal government-controlled economy. Hundreds of millions of Indians who heretofore have had no bank accounts or credit cards will now be forced into the government-controlled banking system. Good for banking business, huh? That's what he put there in parentheses. But India has been among the many nations targeted by globalists such as population control advocate Bill Gates for the war on cash. It is a cashless experimental petri dish. They will throw every extreme measure possible out there and see what sticks, while the globalists take notes. The Globalist Gates Foundation, which helps lead the anti-cash Better Than Cash Alliance, lists India as one of its major targets. Not surprisingly, Microsoft is already swooping in to profit from the scheme as a provider of digital payment solutions and other such services. Next, the Indian government issued a ban on gold imports and gold ownership on December 9th. That's just 2016, guys, and is at present sending taxmen and government agents out to search homes for gold. All but a few ounces of inherited gold jewelry will be seized. So India has now criminalized cash and gold ownership. In tandem with the accelerating push for a cashless society, the Indian government has also collected biometric data on every citizen as part of a deeply controversial, globalist-backed national ID scheme. And that's pretty scary because I think just the middle of last year, the place where I'm working at has actually enacted a biometric system, and they're actually offering you a discount on your insurance premium if you sign up for this biometric data screening type of deal with your health care. No way, not me. But anyways, moving on. But due to grinding poverty, India and other poor nations appear to be an easy target for globalist schemers seeking to perfect the implementation of their totalitarian agenda. Let's see if I need to go on I might have to continue this because I don't want the time to get away from me here. I will read one more section here. All right, hope you can stick with me. The establishment plans for digital cash to be our future. Shortly after the shocking news in India, Swedish authorities, among the global leaders in the war on cash aimed at building a totalitarian cashless society, announced that they were exploring a plan to create a e-cash on the road to phasing out cash completely, known as the e-krona, the digital cash. Unlike regular cash, goes through computer systems, ensuring that Big Brother can monitor all economic transactions. Sweden, like India, is being used as a globalist testing ground as the establishment seeks to phase out cash using justifications such as safety, security, and taking down the evil black economy. Forecasters say the Nordic nation could be the first truly cashless society. Canadian authorities have been working on similar schemes as well. In Australia, several major steps have also been taken in recent days on the road toward eliminating financial privacy and freedom under the guise of a cashless society. In mid-November, U.S. banking giant Citibank, a member of the UN-backed Anti-Cash Alliance, announced that it would stop handling cash at its Australian branches. This move to cashless branches reflects Citibank's commitment to digital banking, said the bank's chief of retail banking. Swiss banking giant UBS, meanwhile, decided to promote the idea of killing high-denomination banknotes in Australia. The Swiss megabank claimed that phasing out the notes would help the banking industry in addition to helping the government collect more in taxes and wipe out the, quote, black market. Globally, governments, media, banks, and even academia have formed a single unified chorus to push the idea out to the public that cashless is good for everyone and only criminals use cash. Prepare to hear it and read it hundreds of times in the coming months. Quote, cash is for criminals. Cash is for criminals. Cash is for criminals, etc., etc. However, for individuals, cash still has plenty of important advantages. Cash is one of the few remaining options for financial privacy that doesn't create a permanent record of every purchase or transaction you make. It's also an easy way to reduce your exposure to risk in the broader financial system. The Daily Bell recently wrote, quote, we are told these are unrelated and individual decisions of various entities and nation states, but they are nothing of the sort. Once again, surreptitiously, the banking elites that want to run the world are systematically organizing a pan-global stratagem to advance their control. If everyone's cash is controlled, further technocratic globalization of society on a worldwide scale becomes increasingly feasible. And then it says to reread that last paragraph, but I won't. I think you get the point here. I won't belabor the time any longer, but I want to thank you for tuning in and really look into this and delve into these types of articles. You can go and Google them. This is the McAlvany Report. Just Google it there if you want to get the report for yourself. He does charge for the subscription, and where I guess he'll send you out these reports. They're pretty lengthy, maybe 5, 6, maybe 7 pages. But you can get them in digital form as well. But it's the McAlvany Intelligence Report. And I'll be detailing and reading more of these, but make sure that you stay tuned and do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. It's important that you know these things. But you know, this is a good source here at Knowledge Well Media as we grow and we learn how to best get the message out to you. This is a good platform for you to become informed and to be able to make an informed conclusion on what you truly believe. But thank you for tuning in, and just want to remind you to go and check out that Gold Money. I'll leave the link down below. Make sure that you check it out. Click on that. Go ahead and secure your assets and things like in your, with precious metals, and something that's time tested and something that does not collapse or crash in all of its history, like we know that inevitably this Western system is going to do. You see that the war on cash is coming, and they're trying to get everybody into the electronic system. So don't fall victim to that. Make sure you hedge your assets and secure your wealth in precious metals. All right, so make sure you find God in your day. Look for that link down below so that you can get information on that, sign up, and they got some gifts and free things for you as well. But I want to thank you for tuning in today. This is Courtney Scott. This is the second of 3 today, so look for my following reports. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. Make sure you find God in your day. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.